Hello? They kicked me out of the family vacation. We don't need dead weight like you anymore, my mom said. I just drove away. That night, everyone called me when they saw It was supposed to be a bonding trip, one last family vacation before everything changed, as my mom liked to put it. Everyone had different reasons for coming. My sister, Claire, wanted beach photos for her blog. My brother, Ethan, needed a break from his startup that hadn't made a cent in 2 years. And my parents, well, they wanted one last go at pretending we were a normal family. As for me, I came because I made the plans. Literally. Booked the flights, reserved the rental car, organized the itinerary, even found the perfect Airbnb on a quiet strip of shoreline. My name was on every confirmation email, every check-in form, every phone call made to finalize it all. I didn't do it for thanks. I knew better than to expect that, but somewhere deep down, I had hoped this trip would be different. Maybe they'd see me for once. Not as the family dead weight. Not as the one who never lived up to anything. Just as me. The first sign that hope was misplaced came the moment we landed. Claire complained about the car I rented. It wasn't sleek enough for Instagram. Ethan grumbled that I hadn't arranged separate rooms for everyone. My dad, silent and standoffish, already had his phone glued to his ear, probably checking sports scores or pretending he wasn't there. And my mom? She did what she always did, floated in between everyone's irritation, acting like she was holding the whole thing together with her bare hands, when really, she was just watching for a chance to assign blame. And, as usual, I became the landing pad for everyone's complaints. It wasn't a fight that sparked what happened that night. It was more like a slow burn, a tension building over every meal, every outing, every side comment whispered just loud enough for me to hear. And then, during dinner on the third night, sun setting beautifully over the horizon, the kind of moment families treasure, I made the mistake of offering a suggestion. Maybe we skip the boat tour tomorrow and just relax at the house. Everyone seems a little tired. That's all I said. That's all it took. Claire slammed her fork down like I'd insulted her lineage. Oh, I'm so sorry. Are you bored, Zach? Do you want a participation trophy for showing up this time? My mouth went dry. That's not what I meant. You never mean anything, do you? She snapped. You just mope around like we owe you something for being mediocre. Ethan didn't even look up from his drink. He's got a point, he muttered. You've been dragging this trip down since we got here. And then my mom. She didn't raise her voice. That's what made it worse. She just dabbed at the corner of her mouth with a cloth napkin, looked right at me, and said, We don't need dead weight like you anymore. Silence. No one flinched. No one told her to take it back. My dad didn't even blink. Claire looked pleased. Ethan just nodded, as if he'd been waiting for someone to finally say it out loud. And I? I stood up. Pushed my chair in. Picked up my jacket. Didn't say a word. I walked out the front door, the same one I had unlocked for them 3 nights ago, and didn't look back. Not once. That was the night I remembered something important. I'd booked the rental car in my name. And all the flights. And the backup hotel. And every single plan they thought they were relying on. I didn't even pack a bag. I just got into the car, turned the key, and drove off into the dark. I didn't have a destination. Just one rule: keep going until the noise in my head gave way to peace. The farther I drove, the quieter it got, not just the road, but in my mind. No more Claire's passive-aggressive sighs, no more Ethan's smug silence, no more of my mom's razor-sharp pity disguised as concern. Just the low hum of the engine, the dark stretch of highway, and the occasional thump of my heart in my chest. I didn't know exactly where I was going until I saw a wooden sign illuminated by the car's high beams. Crescent Pines Inn, Lakeside Lodging, vacancy. It looked like something out of a postcard, the kind people in my family would mock for being too off the grid. It was perfect. The clerk at the front desk didn't ask questions. Just handed me a key to cabin 3, took my card, and gave a polite smile. I probably looked half feral at that point, sunburned, hollow-eyed, wearing a shirt with dried pasta sauce from dinner. But she didn't flinch. That was the first kindness I'd felt in days. Inside, the cabin was simple. A queen bed with creaky wooden posts, a little gas fireplace, and a back door that opened straight onto a view of the lake. The moonlight spilled silver across the water, and for the first time in a long while, I didn't feel like a burden just for existing. I took off my shoes, sat on the edge of the bed, and let myself breathe. That's when my phone buzzed. Once. Then twice. Then 10 times in quick succession. I didn't look right away. I just stared at the glowing screen on the nightstand, waiting for the avalanche. I knew who it would be. When I finally flipped it over, I wasn't disappointed. 20 missed calls. 15 new voicemails. 32 unread texts. And the names were all familiar. Claire. Ethan. Dad, even him, though I half suspected Claire had his phone. The first text was from my mother. Zachary, where did you go? We need you to come back now. Then Claire. Real mature. You can't just abandon us in the middle of nowhere. Then Ethan. This is what you do. Run away and make things worse. Grow up. I didn't reply. I didn't even open the voicemails, though I knew eventually I would. I wasn't ready yet. I needed this night for myself. After a lifetime of being their background character, I was finally the lead in my own story. Still, curiosity gnawed at me. I pressed play on the first voicemail. It was my mom. Frantic. Zachary, we need you. The flight's cancelled. Something about a storm on the East Coast. They overbooked the hotel and now we're stuck. No luggage, no ride. Where are you? You booked everything, remember? We didn't even rent a car. There was shouting in the background, Claire's voice, shrill and panicked. Ethan yelling at someone about their status and how they should be upgraded. I smiled. Not out of spite. Out of satisfaction. It felt like the first time I'd been seen, even if only in absence. They hadn't realized it until now, but I had been holding the strings the whole time. And when they cut me loose, the whole thing unraveled. By the third voicemail, I had stopped feeling guilty. Not that I ever really felt guilty. I was too used to swallowing my feelings, to chalking everything up to. That's just how they are. But sitting on that creaky bed, wrapped in a blanket I didn't have to share with judgment or sarcasm, something inside me finally settled. It was like a muscle that had been tense for decades finally unclenched. I hit play on the next message. It was Ethan this time. His voice was lower than usual, clipped. Okay. Look. Maybe we were too harsh. But disappearing like this is childish. We're stranded at the airport. Do you have the info for the backup hotel? You were supposed to book it, right? Just send it to me so we can check in. No. I'm sorry. No. Are you okay? Just do this for us, like always. Another voicemail buzzed in before I could even finish that one. Claire. Zach, seriously? You didn't answer Mom or Ethan. Are you trying to punish us? I can't even call an Uber, the app won't load. And the airline lost our luggage. I had my skincare bag in there. I actually laughed at that one. Not bitterly, just amused at how predictably shallow it all was. A missing skincare bag ranked higher in urgency than the fact I was driven out of my own family dinner. Then came the final one. My mom again. Her voice had changed, tighter now. Somewhere between panic and embarrassment. Zachary. Please. We didn't mean what we said. I didn't mean it. You know how things get when people are tired and hungry. This whole trip has just been stressful for everyone. Please send us the itinerary, the car info, anything. We're cold, the baby behind us won't stop screaming, and your father is about to lose it. I stared at the phone for a long moment. Not because I didn't know what to do. I did know. I turned it off. Then I walked over to the cabin's little kitchenette, made myself a cup of tea from the welcome basket, and sat outside on the deck. The lake shimmered like polished obsidian. A few crickets chirped. Somewhere, across the water, a loon cried into the night. It was the most peaceful moment I'd had in years. I thought about how many vacations I'd spent being the designated photographer, The errand runner, the one who sat in the back seat while my siblings fought for the AUX cord. How many birthdays I'd spent getting them gifts they never remembered. How many holidays I paid for their flights home, only to have them mock my apartment or my job. And now here I was. Alone. But free. They were stuck in a terminal with no ride, no luggage, no one willing to help. And I had a lakeside cabin and a soft bed waiting for me. And the best part? They did it to themselves. By morning, my phone had 42 new notifications. I didn't check them. I didn't even turn the screen on. Instead, I walked down the short wooden path that led to the lake. The air was crisp and cool, just warm enough to be comfortable but with the kind of breeze that cleared your mind. I sat on the dock, feet dangling just over the water, watching the ripples stretch across the surface like little sighs. The absurdity of it all almost made me laugh. They thought I'd come running. Thought that, even after what they said, I'd still play the role. The one who fixes everything. The one who never complains. The reliable disappointment, as Claire once called me during a Christmas argument she assumed I didn't hear. But silence? Silence was the one thing they never expected. It was the one thing they couldn't control. By noon, the innkeeper knocked lightly on my cabin door. "Morning," she said kindly, holding a breakfast tray. "You looked like you needed a slow start today." Her voice wasn't syrupy or nosy. Just warm. Sincere. I hadn't realized until that moment how long it had been since someone had done something for me without a motive. Without an expectation. I thanked her, and she smiled. "If you need anything, just ask. We don't get many solo travelers this time of year. It's brave, coming out here on your own. Brave. Not sad. Not weird. Not pathetic. Brave." I almost teared up. Not from her words, but from the stark contrast of it. From the way the smallest kindness felt like a jolt to the chest. When she left, I finally checked my phone, not the messages, but my bank account. There was just enough left to cover another 2 nights. Or I could dip into the emergency fund I'd been keeping for when the family needs help. Funny how I'd never considered myself part of the family when it came to needing help. I booked 3 more nights. Then I upgraded to the lakeside suite with the fireplace and soaking tub. Just for me. No one else to plan for. No one to apologize to. Just me. That afternoon, I sat by the window with a book I hadn't had time to finish in over a year. I let the calls keep coming, each one more desperate than the last. They weren't calling to apologize. They were calling because they realized I was the glue. And the glue was done holding them together. That evening, I finally listened to one voicemail. Not out of curiosity, more like confirmation. I wanted to hear if any of them had changed their tune. It was my mom again. "Zachary, please. We're sorry, okay? We shouldn't have said what we said. But we're your family. Families mess up. Just call us. We're freezing out here. We don't know what to do." She didn't sound cruel anymore. She sounded small. Like she'd finally realized something she hadn't before, that I was never dead weight. I was the engine. And without me, nothing moved. I deleted the message. Then I closed the curtains, slid into the oversized bath, and let the silence soak in. The shift wasn't just in them. It was in me. The next morning brought no sunlight, just heavy gray clouds and the promise of rain. Fitting, I thought, for the kind of day they were probably having. Another missed call from Ethan. This time, a voicemail I did listen to, out of pure morbid curiosity. "Look, man. I know things got out of hand. Mom was just stressed. You know how she gets. But we're kind of screwed here. The hotel's fully booked, there's no rental cars left, and they canceled all flights until tomorrow night." He paused. I could hear muffled voices in the background, Claire snapping about her missing bag, my dad arguing with someone. Then Ethan's voice returned, a little quieter. "Honestly, you're the only one who knows what to do. Just call me, okay?" I didn't. Instead, I wandered down to the inn's cafe, ordered a breakfast sandwich with fresh fruit, and lingered in the warmth of small talk with the older couple at the next table. I told them I was traveling alone. The woman smiled and said, "Good for you. Good for me." That used to sound selfish. Now it sounded like freedom. Later that afternoon, while the storm rolled in heavy over the lake, I sat by the window and let myself remember. Not the fights or the guilt or the jabs that always came disguised as jokes. Those were constant, always too easy to recall. No, I remembered the quiet moments. Like the time I stayed up all night booking Claire's connecting flights when she missed hers during spring break. Or how I drove 4 hours to pick Ethan up when his car broke down, even though he barely said thanks. Or how every Christmas I was the one who made sure the tree was up, the food was ordered, the gifts were wrapped, not because anyone asked me to, but because no one else would. All those moments. All those roles I filled. Not out of love, but out of obligation, and maybe, just maybe, the hope that one day they'd say, "We see you." But they never did. And when I asked for so little in return, just decency, respect, a seat at the table that didn't feel conditional, they told me I was dead weight. My phone buzzed again. Claire this time? I didn't answer. The message came in right after. "You really left us to deal with this? I'm freezing, Mom's crying, and Dad's yelling at everyone. This is a nightmare." No apology. No ownership. Just shock that I hadn't come running to fix what they broke. That's when I realized, they missed me now not because they loved me, but because they needed me. And those two things had never been the same. They missed the version of me that tolerated being invisible. The one who accepted scraps and smiled through it. That version of me? He didn't exist anymore. That evening, the rain came down in thick silver sheets, tapping steady rhythms on the cabin roof. I sat by the fireplace in the upgraded suite, yes, I'd gone through with it, and watched the storm roll across the lake like a moving painting. I was wrapped in a soft robe, sipping hot cider, while the wind howled like it was chasing something it would never catch. In that quiet, I did something unexpected. I opened the family group chat. It was chaos, lines and lines of increasingly frantic messages. Claire's texts were rapid-fire complaints. Ethan's grew more clipped and terse. My mom's alternated between guilt-tripping and bargaining. One stood out. "Zachary, if you're trying to punish us, it's working. Please. We're cold, stranded, and out of options." I stared at it for a long moment. And then I typed something. Not a rant. Not a rebuttal. Just one simple line. "You told me I was dead weight. So I took myself off the scale." I hit send. Then I turned the phone face down on the coffee table. The wind rattled the windows. Somewhere out there, they were likely huddled under those buzzing fluorescent airport lights, surrounded by crowds, crammed in with nowhere to go. All their plans unraveling. No rides, no rooms, no guide. For once, they were the ones stuck waiting. For once, they were on the other side of the glass. And I was finally warm. By the next morning, I was up early, earlier than usual, actually. There's something about real peace that wakes you gently. No alarm. No tension waiting behind your eyelids. Just that slow, natural stirring when your body knows it's safe. I brewed the free coffee from the basket, cracked the window open to let in the scent of wet pine and moss, and leaned back in the oversized armchair. My phone was still where I left it. Face down. Silent. But I turned it over. Not because I wanted to reconnect. Because I wanted to see how far they'd fallen without me. 36 missed calls. Over 70 messages. They weren't just panicked anymore, they were unraveling. Claire had gone from furious to pitiful. Okay, maybe we were a little harsh. But this is messed up, Zach. We're your family. Families don't do this to each other. Ethan was clearly cracking under pressure. You're really doing this? You're going to let us freeze over a sentence Mom said when she was mad? You think you're a saint now because you bailed? Even my dad, who rarely texted me anything other than forwarded chain emails or passive one-word replies, finally sent a message of his own. Son. Your mother is upset. You made your point. Come back and fix this. There it was. Not. We're sorry. Not. We were wrong. Just. Come back and fix this. Because in their eyes that was still my job. Not a person. Not a brother. Not a son. A wrench in their travel kit. A tool. I closed the phone again. And I made a decision. I walked down to the front desk, where the same kind woman from check-in was now putting out a tray of blueberry muffins and folded napkins. When she saw me, she smiled. Morning again. Hi, I said. I think I'd like to stay through the weekend. She typed quickly on her computer. No problem. The suite's available. Do you want to keep it? Yes, I said without hesitation. It's exactly what I needed. And that was the truth. It wasn't about punishing anyone anymore. It wasn't even about revenge. It was about reclaiming space, for once in my life, without guilt. Let them sit in their cold terminal, swapping blame and looking for someone to carry their weight. I had finally put mine down. And it felt like I could breathe again. On my last morning at the lake, I stood at the edge of the dock again. The sun was just beginning to break through the mist, casting gold across the water. For the first time in years, I didn't feel like I had to rush back to fix anything. They'd made it home, eventually. I could tell by the silence. No apology. No gratitude. Just absence. And it was perfect. Bye-bye.